Hey, hey, can you all see that? You with me?
Yes.
Cool. All right, we're live. Hey, hey, can you all see that? You with me? Look at that shit.
Yes.
Cool. All right, we're live. Hey, hey, can you all see that? Here we go with this.
You need to close your browser.
Yes. Cool. All right, we're live. Hey, hey, can you all see that? Here we go with this.
You need to close your browser.
Yes. Cool. All right, we're live. Hey, hey, can you all see that? Close the Here we go with this.
You need to close your browser.
But it's like we did this before. We did this before. If I do that,
You need to close your
so if I close the what browser? If I close
I
it,
know what you're talking about. Okay.
is it still doing it?
No. So,
Okay,
okay.
there we go.
Am I able to talk
Mhm.
live?
They can hear you too.
Okay. Everyone's hearing me live?
Yes. Is it still doing it? Oh, fuck.
No. So,
Okay,
okay.
there we go.
Am I able to talk
Mhm.
live?
They can hear you too.
Okay.
So
Everyone's
it's
hearing
not
me
that?
live?
Yes, it's still doing it?
You have it
Oh,
open.
fuck.
No.
What is this?
So,
Okay,
okay.
there we go.
Am I able to talk live?
Mhm. They can hear
Close
you
the
too.
browser.
The F-bombs.
There you go. You can't have
Okay, got you.
the YouTube playing because it's going to pick it up here and play
Understood.
it through the microphone.
Understood. That's for the slow class. That's for the slow class. That's what Jules was talking about. And it just took 2 minutes, not 30. Look at God. That's for the slow class. That's what happens when you, once. All right, friends, we're giving our friends a couple minutes to log on and join us. We are here with the Sister Squad tonight. Hello, everybody. Woo-hoo-hoo. Hello, girls, ladies, friends, sis. We're giving our friends a couple minutes to log.
All good, Crystal baby.
All right. So we're giving our girlfriends a couple of minutes to join us because I can't look on it. Somebody has to do the chat.
Okay, we got it.
Cool. All right. How are you ladies doing this evening?
I'm good. I'm glad it's Friday.
It's Friday.
Friday. Glad it's Friday. It has been a long week.
Yes, it has.
Damn.
The kids went back to school this week. It has been a very long 3 days.
It has.
Did the car train get better, Mimi? What is it, the car line?
That car line, no, it was a little better today. I will say they had, I guess they were like crossing guards, so to speak.
Okay.
So, but yo, I didn't know how. I've heard stories, but the car pickup line is gutter. It's really bad.
Have you seen there's a thing on it's circulating right now about the car line, and this woman is like, if you need to give your kids 12 hugs and kisses and they don't have their shoes on by the time it's time for drop off, then you need to get your whole morning together. Like, this is a mess.
You do.
Why they getting out the car with no shoes on?
They should
First of all,
start
my
getting a
daughter got in the
violation.
car with shoes on, and before we even get up there, I'm like, put your mask on, put your book bag on, be on the door, ready to get out. I didn't hit
Right.
unlock. Like, I'm almost making her. I'm gonna slow down so she can tuck and roll. But this is a lot. This is a lot.
It's a lot. And then they
All right.
sit there and watch the kids walk up like they're going into like the circle of death.
No
They
judgment.
going
No
to school,
judgment.
people.
No judgment. We're doing the best we can as educators.
No,
You
I
are,
promise.
and thank you for your service.
okay.
Because it's
You can
service.
get all the hand sanitizer you want from me. Whatever the teacher needs, I'm getting it for her.
And 12 masks.
All right. What are we drinking tonight? I have a white.
I'm
I have a
drinking
white
water.
tonight.
Pink Moscato.
Yeah.
Tito's?
Who got Tito's?
My water is
Come on,
Tito's.
Kim. Yeah.
Oh, Kim came for a real
With
good
a
time.
splash.
I'm drinking Tito's.
Turn out.
No judgment. I'm
Thank
drinking
you.
a little
Been
bit
a
of
long week.
Chardonnay.
Maybe we could get some of Kim's dance moves she told us about in the last podcast.
Mhm.
When she keeps sipping on that Tito's.
With the
Uh-huh.
outfits. With the outfits.
Where's our playlist, Kim? Where's our playlist? You owe us.
I
She
do.
does.
I
She
do.
does. She
I didn't
does.
forget.
I got you.
All right.
All right, let's get started. All right. Hello, everybody. I am Iyona Blake, and this is Sister Conversations, the podcast. And I am featuring tonight the Sister Squad. Hey, ladies.
Hey.
Tonight we are here with Tori Hawkins Plummer, Michelle Kober, Crystal Macklin, Mimi Robinson, Kim Good, and Jules Jesse. Welcome, ladies.
Thank you for having us again. We love this time
For
together.
Yes.
So fun.
To be here among you sisters.
It's so good to see you. I feel like every time we get together, we have a blast, and then it feels like forever until the next time. And so, unfortunately, I feel like I could go more, but I'm sure I'm asking for too much. But just say I missed y'all.
We missed you.
Oh.
I missed y'all. So let us jump in. Today we have lots of hot topics, some that are relevant to today. I would say all of them are relevant today, but most importantly, they are women-driven. Stuff that we as women are going through, have gone through, got the t-shirt, got the mug, got the keychain, all of that, can write a blog about it. And I'm excited that tonight we get to share some near and dear topics. We even have a topic sent in from a listener, and that's for later on. I'm super excited for that one because I'm sure that's get ready to kick up the drama. And I'm so excited. I am so excited about that. So, yes, that means that y'all have to stick around to the end to find out what that question is, because, honey, when sis sent that in, honey, she sent it in from experience. Okay.
Want to make sure
And
she's
guess
not
what,
crazy.
sis? Huh?
She want to make sure she's not crazy.
She want to make sure she's not crazy. And I want her to know you're not crazy, sis.
Mhm.
Already. You are not
But I
crazy.
like that.
And
I
not
like that
alone.
you're sending in questions.
Yes. Yes, yes. So yes, ladies, you can send in your question. You can email it to me at sisterconversations.com. There is a contact page that you can send in your questions and your comments, because I've gotten some comments too. So thank you for that. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Let's dive in. So our first topic tonight is a second chance at love, round 2, that is. Remarrying the same person. Ooh, honey, do you think that remarrying the same person can be beneficial considering you're marrying the same person? Mimi?
I think it could. I think it comes with probably some footnotes. It's not for everybody. Now, this is my second and final marriage. Would I remarry the first one? Hell no. We'll get to the why later on in the podcast episode, because we're going to hit on one of those topics why I left his ass. However, for some people, I think it could work. I'm fascinated by people who have made it work. So the first marriage, I got married really young. So if you were really young, maybe you guys need some time to separate, to mature, to grow, to find out who you are individually. And maybe it's possible to come back collectively down the road. I want to talk to the people who have done it though, because I have so many questions, but listen, it's old work. It's familiar work. Hopefully it was good work. Y'all just had to work on some communication, sort out some issues. Now, if you had a baby on me, I'm probably not willing to take you back.
Right.
That's going to be a hard no for me, but maybe somebody else, maybe that's your judge and you okay with that. I'm not that mature, but I think it could work.
It's a hard no
Look at
for
y'all's
me.
face.
It's a hard no for me. I'm just saying it's a no. I mean, married Crystal and divorced Crystal is two different people, right? So you learn so much over time when you do get married and you're dating and you're engaged, right? But then when you're divorced, you kind of relearn yourself again. And I probably would not have made some of the choices as divorced Crystal, now that I've learned so much about myself, and remarrying the same person again, I just probably wouldn't. I probably wouldn't even look their way, because I've grown and matured in such a manner that some of those red flags that I ignored, I probably would have, definitely said absolutely not. Like,
But
no way possible.
But what if he grew too? I feel like it's such a special thing, and I never really looked at it from your perspective, Crystal. But I always thought, like, this is beautiful. If you marry and you divorce and you two grow separately and you learn things and then you come back together, to me, that's like perfect story. That's like a beautiful, happy ending. You're not even starting over with somebody else. You're starting with someone who knew you before you were mature, and now you're going back to that same person that you all have grown.
Kim, it would literally have to take God like breaking me down to say, like, this is what I really want you to do, to even think about, the idea of even going back, because there are reasons why we both left, right? So, I mean, I'm not opposed to it. Now, that individual, absolutely not. But I am definitely not opposed to other people experiencing love again with the same person. I don't think that's just my testimony.
Well, I have an uncle. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to remind people that it's Virgo season, and Virgos don't forgive anybody ever. So from my perspective, this is an absolutely 1000% no. Okay, that's all.
Well, my uncle and aunt did it. I mean, they
Really?
were married. Absolutely. One of my favorite aunts and uncle. couple, okay? They were married, they went their separate ways, dated other people for years, decided that they could not live without each other. The next thing I knew, they were back together, remarried, they lived together and are living happily ever after. So I want to say, because I've seen it, not just what the blogs say, articles, I've seen it personally, and it's working for them, right? So that gives me hope that it could work.
Do you know if it was a long time between the gap?
It was. Let's see. Good question, Mimi. I have been married 8 years now, and I know that they have been back together maybe 3 years. So they were probably separated or divorced rather, for 10 years or more.
That's a long time.
I've seen it.
It's a long time. It is.
So maybe if the gap was long, but like last year, 2 years ago, absolutely not.
No, I don't think it can be fresh. Like, I think it needs to be beyond 5 years for sure. Yeah. And y'all need to rekindle that old thing in a therapist's office as well. So
But what about people who separate, go have whole separate families, and then get back together?
Oh no!
So I have seen that. I've seen that. So my daughter's grandparents were married, separated, have whole other kids, whole other husbands and wives, and then came back together. And they have been together now probably for 50 years.
I'm not that mature.
But here's the thing. But here's the thing. Here's the thing. If it's meant to be, it will be.
And that's it.
That's how I feel about it.
If the Lord,
it just won't be for Mimi, though. It won't be for Mimi. But it could be for you, and I'd be happy for you.
This Virgo ain't doing it.
About love is that no one
me again with the same person. Hit me on my head, okay?
What you say, Jules?
It depends on why you separated in the first place. If I separated from you because you were beating me upside my head, you had another baby, and you were really rude to me and disrespectful all the time, you had absolutely no respect for women, probably not. But if we both had communication issues and your mother was always in our business and, things that you can actually work through, then maybe so.
Gotta have that Christ at the center. I'm sorry. I just have to base it off of that. I'm based all my decisions now with Christ at the front, because if not, we waste our own time when we kind of do things on our own without including him first into our decision making. We wouldn't marry the people that we marry. We wouldn't take jobs. We wouldn't, be friends with certain people. But Christ at the center, he's going to help us make the right decision. And I promise you, I will never make another decision without Christ. That's
Amen. Amen.
Or the universe or spirit or whoever you believe in.
Whoever you believe in.
So there are some comments on the stream that are interesting. They definitely said that this was a good topic. And Wendy said, I would always be reminded of why I divorced him the first time. Paulette said it definitely would have to be time in between. And Alani said, yes, Iyona, if it's meant to be, it will be. And then Kenny just popped in and said, y'all in here talking about brothers.
Ain't nobody bashing no man. We love,
Kenny,
we love
you better
brothers.
represent for the men.
Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something, Kenny. What you will never do. But what you will never do is see Iyona Blake and anything that I'm doing bashing a man, because when I tell you I need that strong back in my life, I need that strong back, and ain't nothing that I got that can top that back, honey. Hey. I ain't one of them women to be like, oh, I don't need a man. Oh, yes, I do.
Needs them.
Well, I want him. I want him. I'm choosing him every day.
He said it's messy. He said it's messy in here.
He said it's messy.
Let us know if you would remarry. I want Kenny to weigh in and let us know in the comments if he will remarry.
Mine, Kenny. What's
Kenny
his last
Hillard
name?
the second.
Oh yeah, that's my god brother. Y'all pray for him. He is freshly married. He just got married in October.
Congratulations, Kenny.
Kenny, you're still in a honeymoon phase.
That's it. Come back in 10 years. All right. Topic 2. Topic 2.
No. Make that 3.
Well, how about that? Topic 2. Me Too. What is the impact of the Me Too movement? So we've shifted a little bit. Where is it going from here? And I'm going to go directly to you, Jules.
gonna come off mute. The Me Too movement, I think, is interesting. I think it started out with all of the best intentions. And I think since its onset has also gathered a lot of criticism, and is accepting some of the backlash it deserves, in my opinion. I think I would tend to believe that it's also possible to take some stock in how, like, the Weinstein case has changed how powerful men, these corridors of power, have been dismantled because of the Me Too movement. But I think that we've also swept in a lot of men who may not be to the same statute as Weinstein, and kind of got roped in and lost their careers, lost their families, lost their integrity for something I think not as strong. And so I do have criticisms of the Me Too movement. I think because we're quick to judge, but a lot of these charges are uninvestigated. And ultimately, I'm a person who stands by the law. And, you know, if we're gonna, you know, make allegations, we absolutely should be able to have a jury by trial and not a jury by popular demand.
Let's go to Esquire.
Well, you know, Esquire has thoughts. So I think that it might be overblown to discount the whole movement, because I think that we all have experienced harassment and some sort of uncomfortable situations in different ways, and everybody's gauge is different. So if I say something makes me uncomfortable, I don't have to justify, I don't have to explain. If I'm uncomfortable, then I'm uncomfortable. And the person on the other side of that should not be able to say, oh, well, it didn't make Iyona uncomfortable, so it shouldn't make you uncomfortable. So I think we have to make sure that we're keeping women and the comfort levels of us at the forefront. I think the articles, Iyona, that you referenced, or the video, was getting into a lot of false accusations. And of course, I wouldn't support anybody trying to use their feminine wiles to take down somebody. But I think it's the same way with racism. If we say, I felt like that was a racist comment, then it was a daggone racist comment. If I'm saying that some man has made me feel a certain kind of way, and I now am uncomfortable in my workplace or my school or wherever else, then take my word for it and back me up and punish this man to the extent that is reasonable. Now, he don't have to lose his whole life, but let him know he might need some training. He might need to understand that he can't come in the office and be saying that, you know, my skirt is cute and my boobs look nice. Like, that ain't cool. So he may need some coaching, but we need to take it on an individualized basis, I think, because it gets too blanket statements. And we don't want to get to the point where we're having women lose their voices, because we have to be able to speak up and speak out and make sure that we can be comfortable in our spaces.
I'm so glad you said that, because I'm definitely the one that's like, girl, you was offended by that? All he said was, they're looking at me like, oh, and I'm like, he didn't say anything like that. That doesn't bother me. So I'm really glad you say that. I had to learn to be more sensitive like him. Chill out. Just because it wouldn't bother you does not mean it doesn't bother her and she should not feel comfortable. I'm glad you made that point.
I think you make a great point, Kim. I think men know when their behavior is bad, and women absolutely know if they're making like a mountain out of a molehill, right? And so I think we have to remember that we're talking about adults. And when we know we're being inappropriate or acting out or having behaviors that could make somebody feel uncomfortable, I think we understand when we're straddling a fine line. So it's one thing to say, oh, Michelle, I think you look great today. You look beautiful, right? And someone just extending to you a compliment and admiring that, you know, wow, you just got your hair done. And then another thing to say, damn, girl,
which
you
would be never.
Dress. So my point is, I think we know when something should land as a compliment and when something should fall as sexual harassment. And I don't think that's a very fine line. I think we absolutely know that then when there's a gentleman who's been kind of peddling at us over and over, and it's like, you know, Tori, you looking good in that dress, and can I take you to lunch? And he knows you're married, then we know that it's getting to be a little bit too much. And as Lauren Middleton said in the comments, it's good to put them on notice. And so I'm the type of woman that when I feel uncomfortable, I'm absolutely going to let the man know, hey, I'm going to put you on notice. I don't feel comfortable when you say these things about me. I appreciate that you think I'm an attractive woman or that you made this comment. But for me, I would appreciate X, Y, and Z. And I think we need to do a lot more of that as women to continue to start putting men on notice, because oftentimes, and at least from the articles that we read in the Harvard Business Review, a lot of men were having behaviors that they didn't necessarily believe fell into the confines of sexual harassment. And so I think we need to be very clear. And again, I think men need to understand that it's not everything you say, but if you feel it to be inappropriate and you couldn't say it in front of your wife, it's likely that you just need to keep your opinions to yourself.
I feel that I agree. I feel that as a mother of a son and 2 daughters, I think that somehow the Me Too movement has kind of shifted from being fair. And as a mother of a son, you know, I teach what's appropriate from his perspective, as well as telling my daughters what's appropriate. But anytime we hear a young lady say something and we just go with it because she's a young lady, that's what I have a problem with, without some kind of looking into it. Just because she's a young lady, to me, does not warrant victim. Because at the end of the day,
100%.
I'm sorry.
Totally
No,
agree.
I definitely agree.
And I think that the challenge that I have with Me Too right now, not totally, because, you know, I support women. And if you did not hear last week's episode, Sister Conversations, my Me Too episode with Maria, you all definitely need to check it out. #support survivors. That sister spoke out publicly for the first time on my show. And I mean, spoke candidly, spoke honestly, and it's an amazing testimony. So check it out. Sidebar. But I salute that young lady, because to me, she is a warrior from what she had to go through. But what I was saying is, you know, just because you're a young lady does not make you a victim automatically. And so, you know, once you have really come up with, because truth of the matter is, little girls lie. Women lie.
Women lie.
Women come up with stories.
Yeah, but I don't want to get into the whole women lie thing, because I think that discounts when it's really something that's real. And so a lot of times people will say, well, women lie is an excuse, and the man know daggone well that he did something that he wasn't supposed to do.
I'm not
But it is a
discounting
fair,
it.
it's a fair point to the Me Too movement that it's a very multi-layered thing. But part of the problem is victims, or people who have come out and say they are victims, not being honest. That's a part of complicating the movement. When
Yes.
you have some people are genuinely honest, they've been traumatized, these
Yes.
things happen. But also there's some that are not honest. There's some, especially when it comes to, you know, more high profile people, who see it as an opportunity to leverage up, to get money. And those are the kind of people and the situations that have muddied the Me Too.
Yes.
Also, there is a different barometer, as always, for Black men than it is for white men. There are lots of white men in Hollywood in particular who have Me Too'd the hell out of people publicly and shared it on E! News and everything, and have suffered no consequences or repercussions. But you can just put out an allegation against a Black man and they done lost everything. So there are a lot of things at play when it comes to the Me Too movement. I have no idea how to even begin to mitigate some of that stuff. How do you level the playing field when there's so much going on?
Well, for me, if people say that all the time, that, oh, well, the Black man got in trouble and the white man didn't, I really don't care. Because if he did it, he did it. And I think the white man should be in trouble too. But don't say that to me, because you mean to tell me that I shouldn't care about what this black man did because the white man didn't in trouble either? No, they both should be in trouble.
No,
And
if they did it, they absolutely should. But
They
there have
should.
been stories where women said they did and they didn't, and they lost everything.
That's my
Whereas-
point. That's
How do
my
you
point.
decipher?
Well,
How do
I
you
mean, I think,
decipher?
I mean,
let me say just one thing also. In our community, in the Black community, especially when we were little, and I think what the Me Too movement did do for young girls that are suffering with molestation in their own families, we were told not to talk about it. And I can tell you right now that whenever someone talked about being molested when I was young, I was so sorry for them because I thought it never happened to me. I truly thought it never happened to me. I took it, I put it in the back of my mind somewhere, and I had no idea until later on in my adult life when I went to counseling, and I felt like, and my counselor said, well, why, what do men want you for? And I was like, I'm funny. I wear my real hair sometimes. Saying all these things that had nothing to do with anything. And then I was like, well, I really, good in the bathroom. And she was like, oh, where did you get that from? Big D. And until that happened, I didn't even remember that I had been molested as a kid, because it's just something that we did not talk about. So, but at the same time, I think the Me Too movement gave little girls like that, like me, an opportunity to not be afraid to speak up when they're not lying. Everybody isn't.
And see, Kim, people would be skeptical because you didn't remember at first and you did remember later. And so what people would do is then say, oh, well, you have to be making that up, or you're misremembering, or that's not true. And then you, as somebody who really went through some real trauma at the hands of somebody who should be in jail, is now like you're sitting there having to justify, and you're being re-traumatized because you have to get people to believe you. And that's the thing, as a woman, that I'm leaning more towards protecting women from that sort of trauma than worrying about some man who can go get another daggone job.
I think this up too, like with the Bill Cosby case, everybody knows there was like women that kept coming up. Some were, of course, years ago, like 20, 40 years ago, and we weren't there back then. So we can't really tell them what is right, what is wrong, what happened to them. They should be quiet. They should have came up sooner. So it's kind of a very thin line on what we can and cannot tell people what is sexual assault or sexual abuse, or how it made them feel when, of course, we all make decisions, we all have choices, but nobody chooses for someone to actually do something to them that is inappropriate. And so we have to, be careful that we're not kind of tarnishing that person's statement or that person's testimony or that person's, situation and scenario. I mean, that's very traumatizing to experience anything as a young woman or as a little girl or even as an adult. I mean, think about in the workplace, in church, in social environments, when you feel violated, you're uncomfortable. You want to leave immediately. And so who are we to tell people what actually happened when we weren't there? So I think
that goes both ways. That absolutely
it definitely goes both ways, because it's a decision on both, right? If we decided to attend or indulge in behavior, indulge in with a person that already makes us feel uncomfortable based upon money or drugs or sex or clout or celebrities. I mean, I don't think everybody just goes, to these events thinking like, oh, I'm going to get raped tonight. But some women do have they call them groupies back in the day. They do have women who don't look like us or may not, be like us, that attend or gravitate to men who have clout, whether or not they're, musicians or basketball players or football players or, celebrities, whatever. But there are women who do pry on men so that they can take care of them for the rest of their lives. I absolutely agree to that.
Oh, well, that wasn't my point. I was saying it goes both. I'm sorry. I was saying it goes both ways when you talk about someone falling into their truth, right? And so if I'm saying, this inappropriate behavior, I'm just now coming out and saying something about it years later, and it's done X, Y, and Z to me. I think it has to go both ways when we think about the Me Too movement. The Me Too movement has also swallowed up a lot of men who don't fall on the same spectrum. For example, there have been a lot of individuals who are not men of power, who are not the Harvey Weinsteins, who are not the Bill Cosbys, who are not the R. Kellys, but that ended up on this, shitty man list, right? For allegations, uninvestigated allegations, who don't know who made the allegations. And that information was leaked, and they lost their jobs. They lost their families. They lost their friends. And I think it goes both ways, because we have to be able to say, okay, we're so quick to soak in, especially in this time, a lot of misinformation. The internet is full of misinformation. It's argumentative, it's provocative, and we really kind of are drawn to that, particularly in our media. And as a result, we've swallowed up a lot of things in its path, right? And so when I say it goes both ways, I think we have to, if we're going to highlight our survivors, because absolutely there are people who have done irreprehensible things. Harvey Weinstein is the best thing that came out of the Me Too movement, right? But then there's, Lil Joe down the block, who may just have been a writer for Washington Post, who doesn't know who said, someone filed a complaint against him, and it was never looked into, and he lost everything from it.
That's what I'm talking about when I was saying about being very sensitive to those situations as a mother and as a father, as a mother to a son and a mother of a daughter, because, yes, we want to hear the woman. We definitely want to hear the woman. Technically, personally, I want to hear what she got to say first, because I am a woman, and it's near and dear. It's very sensitive to my heart because of my own trauma.
But are men just rolling over like that? I mean, are they just saying, "Oh, well, she's accusing me of rape, so yeah."
But
well,
I
don't think it's necessarily rolling over, but I think that the Me Too movement has really
followed.
Yes,
it doesn't matter if it's the court of public opinion, right? Yeah. So it doesn't, once you say this person did X, Y, and Z, it's already out there. And I think we have to do a better job. And I'm advocating for the people who are on the opposite side of this thing right now, as much as I'm advocating for the survivors. And I don't lean towards any way. I'm totally unbiased. I think if you are a person who has been victimized, traumatized, yes, of someone, you absolutely should push forward to what Crystal said and stand firm on your testimony, if that's the path that you want to go. But I believe if you're a person who's been victimized in the opposite end, and someone maybe lied to you, or you didn't, or it's some unsubstantiated claim where it's like, Jimmy didn't know that he made Michelle feel uncomfortable, then I think Michelle should have done a better job at having a conversation with Jimmy before she put him on the shit list, right? And now Jimmy, who's a pretty good guy 99% of the time, has lost everything. And before that thing hits Facebook and hits, the work environment and goes to the supervisors, I think it's just a sad day when we allow allegations to somebody's behavior without giving them an opportunity to correct themselves, a chance.
And it makes me as a mom of boys. Yeah, and it makes me as a mom of not boys, sons, young kings, princes, whatever you want to call them. I'm like Iyona. It makes me very nervous, and I have to have the hard conversations, because as much as I am a woman and I am for women's rights and how they feel, and I know what it's like to, go through abuse and the like, I still am a mother of sons, and I would hate for some young girl, prime example, some young girl to be heartbroken by my son, or he decides he wants to be immature and just cut her off, right? And then she comes back and makes up a lie. Let's not act like these things don't happen, because they happen every day. So I think at the end of the day, it's a very, very slippery line. And I just pray that I never have to cross it with my sons.
All right,
I agree. I'm having the same conversations. My son is a senior in high school. He's headed off to college. These are the kind of conversations I'm having with him, because he does live a a rather privileged life. He doesn't have, a lot of street sense and all of that other kind of stuff. So these are the conversations I'm telling him, like, you have to be careful. I want you to have a great experience, meet women, make friends, all of that stuff. But you have to also be smart, and you need to know what the downside could be. I hope it never happens and we never have to deal with it. But I feel like it's my job to paint a full picture of how things are happening so that avoid the traps, all of them.
So
Jules,
tell your sons to create records when they are breaking up with these heartbroken women who might then accuse them of rape. Send them an email, giving them a little bit of, it was great knowing you.
Come on,
Last night
Paper
nothing
Trail.
happened.
Come on, Paper Trail.
Paper Trail.
Thank
Go
you, Miss
ahead and
Michelle.
create
I
that
love
record.
I'm adding that to the list.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes,
I'm gonna say I'm
yeah.
not mad at that at all.
Jules, can you check the chat
Last
for us?
night we did X, Y, and Z. It was all consensual. We parted ways amicably. Here's the emailed record. This is not legal advice, by the way, because I'm not y'all's lawyer, but I'm just saying, create a paper trail.
Jules, what's in the chat?
I love that.
Thank you, Esquire. We do have some comments rolling in. Laura Middleton again saying not only put him on notice, but women have to set boundaries because sometimes those lines can get crossed. I think we all spoke about that. Wendy Glenn, it's the death nail for Black men and white men are never at a loss for capital, whether it's social or financial. And then thank you, Lauren and Wendy, for going back and forth so much. We also have Alana 26. I agree that the issue has to be looked into before implicating a man. Race sometimes overshadows it for us as Black women. Thank you, Iyona. I'm a mother of 2 sons and a grandson. Once it's put out there, it automatically destroys a person's character, regardless if it's right or wrong, which is sometimes not a fair shake.
Nice. Thank you. Thank you for sharing your comments. All right, let's go on. Topic number 3. We're diving deeper. Woohoo, I love it. In what context do you find it appropriate to intervene in a domestic violence situation that is not your own? Let's go immediately to Kim.
I think sometimes it doesn't depend on anything. In relationships, when my girlfriends have relationships with people, I absolutely do not get involved in it. I don't give my opinion. I mind my business. If you talk to me about whatever you're talking to me about, if you want my opinion, I'll give it to you. But when it comes to the point that you are getting beat, that is something so different for me that I have to speak up and I have to be like, look, you are a fool. You have got to stop this. I know you all are going to say, damn, Kim, you've been through everything in the world. But when I was young, I was in a relationship and it wasn't an abusive relationship. It was abusive. And it got to a point where my girlfriends were like, look, if you're going to stay with him, do not call us anymore to talk about him, to tell me what he did wrong to you. We don't want to hear it. We've already put ourselves in it. They came to his house to fight him before. They did everything they could. Pull me away like him. This is not good. You cannot let him beat you up. And I know you all are going to laugh at this, but what stopped him was my brother. So sometimes they just need the man in your life to whoop their ass. Because after my brother beat him down, I swear to you, after my brother beat his ass, he never put his hands on me again. But to answer your question, I absolutely think as much as we want to stay out of people's relationships, that is one thing that I do have to intervene. I don't mean I have to come and fight him, but I absolutely have to try and get you off the ledge and get you to understand why this is bad. And if he does it in front of me, and I will let him know, I'm calling the police. So you better not beat in front of me because I'm calling the police. Period.
Mimi, can you drop some of our stats from our reference, please?
Yes. So the statistics are from the World Health Organization, and they say 1 in 3 women will experience domestic violence in a lifetime. That's about 736 million women. Now, this could be physical or sexual violence by an intimate partner or sex violence from a non-partner. The other statistic is that 1 in 4 young women who have been in a relationship have already experienced violence in the age group of 15 to 24. And I was one of those 1 in 4. I started dating my ex-husband when I was 15. We got married at 18. At 22, I left him, but he was physically abusive. And so I have 2 things about it. One, I agree with Kim. If I know someone who is being abused, I'm going to help you once. If you want the help, I'll do everything I can within my power to help you. If I help you and you go back, fuck you and fuck him. Because what happens is when you start to get in the mix, then he is all in her head telling you your friend ain't shit and stuff like that. So if you, like Kim said, if you're going to keep going back, don't keep crying to me, sis. You done cry wolf and I'm done, because I don't want the drama that's going to come with it. And then Kim gonna have to have somebody whoop his ass. But if you genuinely want the help, then by all means. Now, I was in this relationship for 7 years. I think one of my friends knew my ex-husband was abusive. I never told my mother. I never told my sister or anybody else. When I was sick of the shit, I left, and that was it. But I wasn't. Okay, so just like the whole Me Too thing, to me, there are levels to abuse. So he never physically hit me. I think the last time he put his hands around my neck like he was going to choke me, and I was done. So it was little physical stuff before. If he got mad, he'd break stuff and things of that nature. And the last time I actually ran out of the apartment barefoot, like a damn Lifetime movie, to the nearest salon and called the police. And I called my father-in-law at the time. And it was a nice lady at the salon. She was really nice. She locked the doors in case he came and everything. And I was like, that's it. And I just called my mom and I was like, yeah, so that's it. And she was like, well, what happened? And I told her, and she just looked at me stone-faced like, I don't believe you didn't say anything. Like, why would you not? Because you're not always in a position where you want someone's opinion. And if you're not going to leave, what the hell is the point of having a conversation if you haven't decided in your mind that you're sick of this kind of treatment? So I will help you. But if you're going to go back, then we done, sis. We're going to have to talk about the weather, because you're not going to talk to me about this man. I won't entertain it.
And unfortunately, I went through the same thing, Mimi, at a very young age, living in Oregon. And what I would say was, I'm thankful that my friends actually, when I would sneak out with this guy and say I was with them, at first they went along with it, right? But when they found out how abusive he was, because they were actually in the car with me on one particular incident where he high speed chased us and tried to pull me out of the car. So once they saw that, it was it. Oh, don't lie. Don't say you're with me. If you do, we're calling your mother. And I tried that lie again, still went back to him, and they ratted me out. And I'm glad at the time I was like, oh, y'all are my real friends. F you. Now I'm thankful, because although I don't have a daughter, I have goddaughters, women in my family. I hope that women would speak up. I've lost an aunt to domestic violence and my favorite cousin to domestic violence. And I know what it was like, not just verbally abused. I'm talking dragged down steps. I'm talking mace. Anyone that lived in Portland, Oregon, or Beaverton, they remember and they know that everything, there are no lies being told here. And unfortunately, that was the part of my life in my younger years after I left DC that I had to endure. But my immaturity and my stupidity at the time, and me thinking I was so in love, caused me to continue to go back to this guy, to continue to listen to the lies. And those lies put me in situations where I could have died. And mind you, I was very young. And like Mimi, I lied to my parents. They didn't find out. And when my mother found out and knew she had to go out of town, you know what she did? Like how you called your brother, Kim? My mother called my uncle, Jerry, and flew him from DC to Oregon. And he handled that situation like a man. And I was praying he would not go to jail, because who was going to get him out? But we have to be smarter and talk to young women. And that's another reason why I try to mentor young women, because I see women going down those same paths that I went through and thinking love is this and that. And it's really a horrible situation to be in. And women are losing their lives. So I just hope that when you see something, you'll say something, basically.
For sure. And I did not grow up around abuse. I had never watched it in my home, in anybody else's home, or anything. But sometimes when you young and you dumb and you're looking for love in all the wrong places, as an adult, I know it was the daddy issues that I had at the time that led me there. The absence of a father and falling for the first man who said, I love you. But at that age, I had no idea. I was just like, oh, he loves me. He said he's sorry. He apologized. He bought this or he did that to make it up, only to do it again.
And for
So I have a
some reason
question.
in our community, our young girls think that if it's not a little bit of fighting and fussing, then it ain't real love. It's like a ghetto love story. And that's just the dumbest thing.
Yes, Kim. Yes.
I have a
That's
question.
nasty.
I have a question. So for Mimi, Kim, and Tori, since you ladies have shared stories in dealing with domestic violence and relationships, how do or how would you have wanted your friends to handle or to create a safe space for you? I guess me on the other side, if I've known someone who's been in a domestic or currently in one as a friend, what do I do or how can we help one another to support? Because we can talk about stories all day long tonight, but there are women who are watching us tonight. There are women who may have known like sisters, cousins, nieces, you know, girls in college. What advice can we share with women tonight who are dealing with domestic violence, maybe emotional, maybe physical? What can we do as women to create these safe spaces to have these type of conversations? But as a friend group or as a sister, how do I go to my sister and say, hey, I know this is wrong. You may not want to discuss it with me, but how can I best support you in dealing with this?
I think in the situation I was in, there was nothing else my friends could do. I was completely and totally in love. And in some instances, I was mad at them. Like, y'all gonna come over my house and try to beat up my baby father? Like, are y'all serious? You know, and I would be angry at them. So really, the situation I was in, there was nothing they could do but pray for me because they tried. They tried to get me to come live with them. You and the kids can come live with me. Don't have to pay any rent. Just come live with me. Just leave them. They came to beat them up. They eventually told my family, and that's what stopped it. But there was nothing. My mind was so twisted, and I was so in love, and I thought I had a family that there was nothing, unfortunately, that they could do.
I think that it's very important to know that all situations are different. And for your sake, you have to really use discernment to know when you should get involved. I think the best thing to do is to make sure that our sister knows that she has a safe space with you and that she can come to you. Ain't nobody leaving nothing until they ready.
And that's it. And
that's just it. I mean, and whether that's domestic violence, whether that's verbal, physical, emotional, you know, whatever the case may be, ain't nobody leaving until she ready, until she done had enough. But I think our responsibility is just to make sure that they know, sis, you always got a bed, sis.
And that you deserve better. At a young age, like Kim said, I don't know that my friends could have helped me. I think I could have helped myself if I had at least picked a friend to confide in. And most of my friends were childhood friends, so they could have had access to my mother. So I think sometimes it might be just a matter of picking a person that you feel like you could confide in. If you don't feel like you have those people, when next time you're at the grocery store, tell the lady in the produce aisle, just tell somebody. Because you never know how they will be able to help you or whatever. Now, in my case, God looks out for babies and fools and baby ass fools. So I did not have any children by him, thank the Lord. So I don't have any ties to him. Oddly enough, the craziest part is the savior for me in that situation, the very man who should have been to abuse women. That was the really interesting part. He saw his dad.
I have a question. I have a question for those who have been in these situations, or maybe their parents have been in these situations, grandparents, etc., in a domestic violence situation. To me, it almost seems like you could equate someone who maybe be suffering from addiction to drugs or alcohol and not wanting to take the next step to get that rehabilitation. Would you agree that leaving that relationship is also like maybe having to kick a habit?
It is. Jules, you hit it on the nail. It absolutely is. And again, when you're young and stupid and in love and these things happen, I mean, we at that age, we still know better. You know, we know that someone shouldn't put their hands on us. We know someone shouldn't mace us, drag us downstairs. Would you like me to continue? Because I have a long story. I could write a book.
Yeah.
But I say all of this to say that same person that did that to me did it to other women too. So that was a problem with him, unfortunately, that I don't think he's ever gotten over. Maybe he has, I don't know, don't care. But I'm with Mimi. Thank God there were no babies born. And thank God I left.
I don't want to just tie this to the West Coast story, but I know that because
I
gotta bring that element into it. Being from the Pacific Northwest or even just the West Coast, it's really the culture is really big on pimping and pimping girls. And so the level of disrespect that you receive as a female from where I come from is a little bit different here on the East Coast. It's not, chivalry is not totally the same with across all men. There is a category and a culture of men that grow up in this environment where it's all on a bitch. You know what I'm saying? And so they absolutely are groomed by the other men in their families, even women, right? There's women madams in their families that bring them into pimping. I know that firsthand. My dad was a pimp and he had girls that he had on the stroll. And so I saw a lot of that abuse in my household. And thank God my mother survived that environment. But having grown up and seeing that firsthand and seeing the aggression towards women, seeing him physically put his hands not only on my mother, but any one of his girls that stepped out of line, I understood that was something that he inherited from my grandfather, and that they inherited it from the street culture or from the gangs and things like that. And so this is also a way of life. And a lot of these young men are being groomed into that environment just as much. So it's not to say I would also say they're just as much of a victim in that sense.
Well,
I do. It's
my
issue.
He absolutely, every time he see me, it's the first thing he does is apologize. Every time. It's like, oh, I cannot believe I ever treated you like that. Oh my God, I was so young and stupid. Oh my God, I cannot believe it. You want to hit me? Hit me. You want to hit me right now? I mean, he literally, the first thing he does is apologize over and over and just say, I can't believe I was so young and dumb. I can't believe we were so young and dumb. But I didn't have any abuse in my home as far as my mother getting abused. I never saw anything like that. So I don't know where he or I got that craziness from. I just don't.
Let's keep moving. Let's keep moving. Thank you,
Well,
ladies.
Iyona, one thing I do want to say before we move on is that a lot of this conversation I'm listening, and the abuse has been attributed to youth. And I think what we don't want to do is just make it seem like it's, I was 18, 20, and that's why I was getting beat up. Because there are a lot of women out here right now in this pandemic, and domestic violence has skyrocketed in this pandemic. Women in their 40s, 50s, whatever, that are also going through this. So don't just say, oh, I was being young and dumb. You can be in any sort of emotional state at any point in your life with another person. And so just try to uplift and help our sisters if they're going through this, but it can't just be attributed to age.
Absolutely.
I agree. And I wish therapy was as prevalent back then as it is now. Part of my ex-husband's problem is trauma and a lot of his anger. His sister was killed tragically in a car accident, and he saw a lot of things that he should not have seen as a young child. And so a lot of his anger, obviously not an excuse to be abusive, but as an adult, when I look back, I can see where it came from, and it's trauma that he had unresolved. And it was trauma within his dad that he experienced, extreme trauma growing up that he also didn't resolve. So you get to drinking and drugging and all of that. It is just a massive recipe for disaster. Even for women who are going through it, it's a lot easier to get therapy now. You can go through your job, you can get free sessions of therapy, typically between 6 and 8. And so I feel like there are better resources available now. There are hotlines and other things that are more prevalent than I feel like were back in the 90s and the early 2000s. So those are other resources if you don't feel comfortable in confiding in people. If you don't want to tell the lady in the produce section, you can call an 800 line. They're 24 hours, and those people's jobs are to listen to you. If you just want an ear, then they're there to listen. If you want help, then they'll offer that as well. And most of that stuff is free.
And one of the comments is saying that a lot of the choice not to leave is based in fear. And a lot of times it's not danger fear, it's financial fear, it's stability fear. And so we have to make sure that we are empowering ourselves to make sure that we have our finances and everything else under control, so that if we do need to get out of a situation, we can. Iyona, that's a whole nother conversation. But I when we're talking about fear can be on a whole bunch of different levels. So let's not forget that we need to think about this holistically and not just about the physical aspects, because a lot of people just can't run out and get an apartment and a car and move to another state in
That's
5
real.
minutes.
That's
So
real.
Absolutely. And starting
Very
over
good.
is okay. Don't be afraid. A lot of people are afraid of starting over. Listen, some of the best things come out of starting over, no matter how old you are. If that's what's best for you, then listen, you don't know how good it can be until you actually try it.
Amen.
And I've seen real women say that they've stayed to not break up their family. And I'm just like, but
Fuck them kids. Get out of there.
You're not helping them. You're showing them the wrong thing. Don't stay. I don't ever believe in staying for the kids. That is some old school notion.
exactly.
Well,
Lord.
here's the thing. At the end of the day, sis, we don't want to pass judgment. We just want you to get help. We laugh, we joke, but at the end of the day, if you are listening, if you are watching, know that there's a safe space for you. And we're praying today that you find that safe space. We pray that you find that inner strength to get through what you're going through, because at the end of the day, we don't know. We have our own testimonies. We don't know what people are going through until we walk in their shoes. So we're praying today, sis, if you are listening and you are, or watching, and you are that woman that just don't know how to get out, we're praying for you today that you will find that inner boldness and things will line up for you, that you can get the help that you need. Yeah. All right, let's move on. Under what circumstances, I like this one, do you unfollow someone who doesn't contribute to your wellness? Woohoo, Crystal.
This was my favorite out of all the topics tonight, especially number 1, 2. But I feel like during the pandemic, right? So March 2020, we all were hit with boom, work from home, life shut down, social life, family, friends. And there should have been a lot of time of reflection. I referenced the article that Iyona sent to us, where this woman had, kind of her daily routine every day. And then boom, the pandemic hit. And there's a lot of time that she spent in the morning with her daily affirmations and her routine and getting coffee and exercising and all those great things, right? And then boom, life stops. And how do you adjust then? I know for me, I kind of spent more time trying to figure out life. You spend more time on your electronics because that's the way we had to communicate at the time. And still now with everything being a lot virtual, but following people on social media that uplift you, that build your confidence, that maybe give you, words of affirmation, spiritual advice. It could be women's empowerment. It could be about career. It could be about fashion. We follow so many different things, but then those are some of the accounts that we do follow, maybe ex-friends or ex-boyfriends, or things that are negative about society or Black women, or, dealing with the Me Too movement. We can talk about a lot of different things, and learning how to decipher what's beneficial to my well-being every day and what's not. You have to know yourself. So, I always go back to, when I was going through my divorce and situations and kind of reliving Crystal and refinding myself, every morning I would get up and I would have to say a daily affirmation to myself in order for me to feel good about myself again, for me to feel beautiful about myself again. And then I found myself following these affirmations in different, accounts online that would uplift me. Sometimes, reading and saying it and reciting it is great. But then I had a cloud of people that started following me like, hey, we missed our affirmations for the day. We love that you post those things because they uplift us. When you should unfollow an account is something that's drawing your negative energy. As soon as you read it, you automatically feel upset. As soon as you see something, I had to unfollow a couple of old friends. I don't want to be attached to anybody that's in my past or my past relationship or my past, friendships. And those things were negative towards me. It would make me feel some type of way. It would bring bad energy to my life, or it would upset me. I see them having a great time out, and I'm like, I don't want to keep saying that. And knowing who you are and knowing you, once you realize that that's not good for you to keep saying, because we like to, keep up with people that we don't talk to anymore. That is so toxic, right? You have to learn how to let those things go. Why do you keep keeping up with someone who you could care less about? You don't call them, you don't text them, but you want to know what their every move is, what they're doing. Well, girl, you see, they posted this. Did you see this? It causes toxic in your relationships and in your group chats. And then you get together and then you all upset all day because of a picture a person posted because they out having, drinks or at happy hour, or they're vacationing together. So I'm preaching to the choir, but stop following people that no longer concern you. Why do you keep keeping up with people? So I know Iyona knows I can talk about this all day long, but what you feed into your mind, what you feed into your spirit is what you become. So if you're not feeding positivity, if you're not feeding Christ, whoever that you worship, you're not feeding any type of positive daily affirmations, what are you doing? Why are you on social media? To keep up with people that you don't talk to anymore? That's crazy. I rest my case.
Very good points, Chrissy. I just want to say that I have a girlfriend who, once she turned 40, it's almost as if she had this aha moment where she decided that, you know what? I'm closer to the upper room than I am to my younger years and my younger self. And she made a very hard decision to stop associating with anybody that, not that she was being judgmental and they had to have the same thought process as her, but they had to have the same maturity level, right? So she decided that she was going to disassociate herself with anyone that did not bring her joy, that could not feed her spirit, that could not uplift her, that could not bring things other than negativity and drama. And it caused a lot of tension, but she is so much happier. Life has moved along so much better for her. And it actually inspired me, because who wants to be around negative people all of the time and around drama? Our feelings get hurt. Yes, we are sensitive when it's people that we love. But I mean, when I watched her moves and how she just cold turkey people and cut it off and made it very clear in what direction she was choosing to go to at this milestone in her life, she's been rewarded for that, right? And although it may have upset and hurt other people's feelings, it was something she had to do for herself. And she just feels so much better. And she told me it felt like a whole truckload of weight was lifted off of her.
I can't help but laugh because this is all Virgo energy. Child, I've been blocking people before since blocking was even a thing. This is the second grade. A Virgo will cut you off in 35 seconds and never talk to you again. So I am glad y'all are finally catching up.
Yeah, she shut down social media.
I love this topic, y'all, because for me, what I had to do, it's less about me unfollowing somebody, but me turning off my social media notifications, because I was a social media. I still am a social media junkie. I'm in marketing. I was a part of the social media wave when it first came out. When Twitter first came out, I was obsessed. I was like, if I wasn't a person controlling social media, I would have been an influencer. Like, I know exactly what makes stuff work online. Like this whole idea of clickbait and trolling and spamming and all of that. Like, I was at the forefront of all of that when it first kicked off. And so I understand the internet, and I'm obsessed with how the internet can interact with actual life. But I also understand how dangerous that is. And I understand how dangerous it is for somebody like me. And so I had to turn off my notifications because I didn't want to keep hearing it chime to see, did someone like that? Did someone like that post? Is anyone engaging and liking what I've put out there? Because I'm sharing this and I want likes. And so I think that is also very toxic, right? And it doesn't diminish my value, because if in full transparency, if something on IG doesn't get over 100 likes, I'll take it down. Like, I will archive the post because I feel like that post didn't go well. And so there's all these little small things in my mind that I'm thinking like, damn, this doesn't even make any sense. Like, these likes on Instagram don't make me, right? And I also was getting to the point where I was looking at people on their social media. I'm like, that's an ugly picture. Why the hell would they post that, right? And I'm going through and I had to check myself like, Jules, you ain't no better than any of these people that you looking at. Your picture ugly too. So go sit down and get yourself together. And I literally had to have a hey girl, hey moment and stop judging everything that you're looking at, because as you're swiping, you're making an assessment like, oh, I don't like that shirt, or okay, that's cute, doop doop, or I don't want to like her stuff because she didn't like my stuff. There's so many more behaviors that just happen on social media that we don't even really recognize. So I think it's less about who I'm unfollowing, but more about me checking my own behavior on social media so that I can be that I can be a better human on social media, that I can be a better digital citizen.
Transparent
I think
moment.
I'm both.
I definitely feel the same way. I don't unblock anybody. Yeah, I only block 2 people in my life. And that was one guy who used to drive Uber with me. He was white and he said something about Michelle Obama. I blocked his white ass. And then somebody else, I forgot what I blocked her for, but I blocked her because she gonna keep on talking to my man when she see us together, but barely say anything to me. She'll like, hey, Tana! And I'm like,
That's a whole different episode, sis.
Right.
Stay focused.
But what y'all gotta know is that even if you block somebody, they can go to other websites and still go look at your page.
Listen, I'm not blocking you because I need you to see me. I need you to go ahead and pull up. My page is open. It's not even private.
Mine is open too.
Mine is open too.
Mine is open too. But the thing is with unfollowing people, you don't necessarily have to block them. Right. One thing, when I was going through, this is a very transparent moment. When I was going through my divorce and I was separated, seeing couples online was a trigger for me, right? On social media, I'm like, all this black love. I don't care about no black love. I'm separated. I'm going through a divorce. Or I know of a friend who was trying to have a baby, and it was a trigger for her seeing all these pregnancy pop-ups. And so some of those things, even though we can talk about blocking people all day long, but some of those things can be triggers because it's something that you desire and that you want and you see online, and you may not even know the people or not, but that's a trigger for you. And that can cause you to fall into a bad mental space if you're not really, have a grip on your feelings and emotions, and you're battling with different things, trying to lose weight. And then you see all these people losing weight online. So we have to be careful what we feed into our spirit every day, and then understanding what triggers us. Like certain stuff used to just trigger me. Now I'm grown, and healed, and I went to therapy. But at the time I had to realize, for me, like, this is a trigger for me. Seeing black love and everybody happy, I'm like, I don't care about that. I'm going through a divorce. Or, someone who's trying to get pregnant and seeing these pregnant, announcements, and they're glamorous and they're beautiful. And somebody who's trying to have a child, that female may feel very insecure, like, God, when is it my turn? Or why can't I get pregnant? So we have to also realize those things too, because we love to follow the big social media, junkies and gurus. And I'm like you, Jules, like, I remember when Facebook came out, I was a freshman at Hampton, and it was like the best thing ever. But social media can be used to be as a great tool, but it can also be used to be very toxic. And sometimes we bring that on ourselves. So knowing your triggers, knowing what to follow, but then also unfollowing those things that are not healthy to you every day.
I had to unfollow a young lady the other day. I had to unfollow a young lady.
What she do, Iyona? What she do?
Well, hold on. Are you going to tell us, sis, from social media yet? Okay, never mind.
You already know, Jules. Stop it.
I know too.
Jules messy. Jules messy. But let me tell you. Let me tell you this.
Right.
I had to unfollow a young lady the other day, because every time I saw her post and it would just come up, you know how it comes up. There was something in my spirit that was just vexed.
Yeah.
I couldn't put my mind on it. I still can't verbalize it, but every single time I came across her stuff, I'll be like this.
But what was she saying? Why?
It was the way she
negative.
It was, what's crazy?
Perceived negative.
Well, here's the thing.
I can't stand the humble bragging.
But wait a minute. Here's the thing. She has a very good following, but to me, how she spoke out of her mouth was very
irritating.
Well, first of all, I didn't see it as positive, but she's looked at as somebody as being positive. I did
That's
not see it
good
as
right there. That's
see it as
good.
positive, because to me, as a woman, as a wife, as a mother, I'm saying, sis, you don't say that. Why
Just
you saying that?
because people have a platform, Iyona, you're
And
right.
listen, and I'm telling you, the people, they like, yes, sis, yes, got her
That's
little
part of
brand.
social media. That's just so much of a lie. We be seeing people out here that be looking a hot mess, and in 1994, we would have told them.
What
And
about living a
now,
hot mess?
in 2021,
Living.
it's like,
I'm
oh,
with
girl,
Jules. Living.
ooh, that's cute.
Living a
And
hot
everybody know daggone well it's not cute.
So I had to unfollow her for my wellness,
Yes.
because when I scrolled past her, I no longer had nice things in my mind. I didn't have nice things to say. And I just was like, you know what? For my sake, boop.
Yep. That's exactly what I was gonna say, Iyona. Just like Jules said, if every time I'm passing, I'm like, I need to stop. I need to unfollow you because you bringing in bad juju up in my world, and I gotta stop.
Yeah.
Don't feel guilty about unfollowing people. I've muted people. I've unfollowed them. I have blocked some crazy people in my life as well. But don't feel guilty about caring about your well-being. Like I had a friend. Same thing with Iyona. It's like every time I would log on, she was always bad mouthing her husband, and it was uncomfortable for me. Like, you know, men should spend time with women in order to make them feel great. I don't want to hear about that all the time. Like, post your kids, post something. Did something happen to you today? Like something positive. And I muted her, and then I eventually unfollowed her because I'm like, you're toxic. You're going through now. You're spreading your business on social media. Now nobody's going to call you out on it, but you have all these followers, but it's not bringing any type of joy or wellness to my life. Why am I participating in this?
Some people on social media are just fake as hell. Yeah.
I don't block people too much, but I unsubscribe.
What you say, Jules?
For me, I think what really gets me is when some people are just fake as hell, right? And so oftentimes my curiosity, as a Scorpio, I'm naturally curious, but I'm gonna stick that tail up in you too. So I'll come in for a good tea and some drama, but if it's too much, I don't even want to engage in your platform and even give you any more juice.
Yes,
because it's just not feeding my spirit the right way. And so honestly, I think we've talked this topic all the way through on every single different aspect of the spectrum. I'm not quick to unfollow, but I'm definitely quick to archive and follow a bunch of stuff that I think is going to be healthier for me and pull myself from an environment that I think is not going to be beneficial to anybody else, because it's super important for us to be a good digital citizen. They even teach classes now to
millennial.
They teach classes now in school. You guys, I just found this out. It was on the cable news station, guys, Real Media, okay? And they're teaching kids how to be a good digital citizen, how to interact with people online, how to, you know, just have like good conversations, what to post, what not to post, because once it hits them airways, baby,
even if you delete it, it's
hard to delete.
Gone.
I'm gonna screenshot it first, okay? Before you delete it.
Big purr.
You can find it on other websites, even if you delete it.
Now, I have to move on for the sake of time because I have to get to this one. This is a question from one of our listeners, and I have to get to this topic because it may take a quick 5 minutes and it may not. And so the question from one of our listeners specifically to the Sister Squad. Here we go. This sister sent me a message and said, can you do a segment on, drum roll, please, baby mama? Ooh, can you do a segment on baby mamas' weight and boundaries? What are the boundaries? That's the second question. It's more. When should they call? There's more. What should they call about? And the last question, because sis is full right now, okay? She's full. What are appropriate conversations? Michelle, we're going to you first.
Okay, so since you came to me first and I like terminology, we're going to talk about baby mama first and foremost. because I'm not baby mama. I am grown ass woman, mother of the child. So there's a difference. And so if we're talking about baby mama, when you're talking about, you know, in a stigmatizing way of somebody who doesn't have any behavior and don't know how to act, that's something different. But for me, I am a grown ass woman who happens to be the mother of a child to someone that I'm not in a relationship with. So I ain't nobody's baby mama. I'm your grown ass child's mother. So let's just be very clear. And
Get
so
him
I don't
together.
have any baby mama behavior.
Tell us,
I'm acting like a
Michelle.
grown woman in all of our interactions. I'm calling you during business hours, Monday through Friday, unless there is an emergency. And we're speaking only about topics related to our child. And then if our relationship is such that we can have small talk and have other conversations, then we might. But I have a whole husband, I have a whole family, and don't get it twisted like I was trying to get you hemmed up and trapped to keep you for life, because that ain't what I was doing. Because it's a lot of it's a whole lot loaded into that term. So I think that we need to keep our boundaries. I absolutely have boundaries because I respect my husband, and I'm not going to disrespect him by having inappropriate conversations with my child's father. So the appropriate conversations are about the kids. We actually have a good relationship. My husband is cordial and friendly with my child's father. But if we weren't, then we would just be talking about the kids.
I agree
Let's
with
talk about them kids.
I agree with Michelle, and I think there definitely has to be boundaries, and the conversations should be about the kids. And like Michelle said, if there is a relationship there that is still a friendship, then it can go beyond that. But how much more are we talking? You know, I think lines don't need to be crossed. I think if you have a child that is of age where you can call them directly, yes, you can have a conversation with the mother, or the mother can call and have a conversation with the father. But if the child is of age, I don't see why there should be daily conversations when you can pick up the phone and call that child directly. Yes. So there's things like that that I think shouldn't be crossed, because then we have an issue of, okay, so if you're talking every day and you all aren't together, the person may be married, the person may be in a relationship, one may not be. What are we really talking about every day? You know what I mean? Like what
Yes.
causes
This is going back to topic number one. Are y'all getting back together?
Well,
Are y'all
That's
getting
what I
back
was
together?
thinking
So
about.
this is my thing about dating men with kids, because I have dated men with kids pre-divorce and after, right? And it's all, I don't have any children, FYI, and it's always very uncomfortable to date people, men with kids, because the children's mother, I don't want to use the word baby mama, a children's mother always becomes very insecure when they see Miss Crystal, right? And so it's like, then they start asking questions.
Not this one now. Not this
Listen,
one.
I am a living witness. I wish my friends, hopefully they in the comments.
I know, but you got to get a grown one. You got to get the grown one.
And that's the thing. So I was, somewhere publicly, this is a very true story. I was somewhere publicly, and the children ran up to me like, oh my God, Miss Crystal. Now the mother was there, and it was like, everybody kind of looked, it was very awkward, because now the kids have acknowledged that Miss Crystal's here. The mother feels very insecure. And it's like, well, why are the kids around Miss Crystal, and why are they so? And I'm just like, I would think a child's mother would want their kids to feel comfortable with their, kids' fathers.
No, ma'am. I will not let you go past that. What was her voice again, Crystal?
She was like, who Miss Crystal? I mean, I was like,
Crystal, those were baby mamas. Those weren't.
And that was it was very uncomfortable.
That's part
it was uncomfortable for me. It was uncomfortable for the child's father. It was uncomfortable for the baby mama and they kids. They young. They little kids. And it was like Miss Crystal. And I love children, right? I love, like, kids look at me that I'm only 5 foot even, so they feel like we're on the same platform. Love kids. I ain't gonna ever do anything to somebody's kids, right? But show them love, because this is a part of who you are. So this is going to be a part of the dating life, right? Because I have to accept the boundaries that come with. But when you start questioning the relationship of the person that you only have kids with, then I have an issue with that, right? How much time you spending with her? Do the kids go around her? Da, da, da. And so I felt uncomfortable, like this too much. I feel like this is a job dating you because I'm dating you, your kids, and your baby mama.
But let me share something about that too, though. Now, Crystal, that's important because that man, you can tell a lot about who that man is by who he chose to have a child with. Now, so that spirit of discernment has come right on through.
Let me
and it's telling you to run if you need to run.
And if they don't look like nothing, they see Miss Crystal, they like, oh, that's not what I look like. Miss Crystal look different.
But let me say this. I know I'm older. My kids are much older. For me to do the baby mom, baby daddy thing is ridiculous. But I can tell you that I did get a twinge of what the fuck when my ex-husband married his wife and started working full-time, taking care of a family, not beating her ass, being everything that I wanted him to be for me. I had a twinge of, really, nigga? Like, I'm sorry, I'm going way.
Ooh, but Kim, that's true. That is true.
I was a little mad, and
that Tito's kicking in.
It has nothing to do with her. She didn't do anything to me. I was mad at him, and I was a little upset at the situation.
And
like,
so here's the thing. Is this about you and him? What's unresolved?
Okay.
Oh yeah.
It is.
It's multifaceted and it's layered. All of this is layered.
I felt as though it was like, okay, does she still have feelings for you? You know, why is she questioning our relationship? Because I don't go around your children like that unless you bring them around me. But it made me want to step back in the relationship because I was like, this is too much. I ain't dealing with you, your kids, and your baby mama, because I'm not in a relationship with all of y'all. But once it becomes an issue in our dating, and I'm taking on the responsibility of, if we're dating to one day marry, that this is going to be a part of my life, then there has to be some boundaries set in dating, and so like when you're with me and the kids are not with you, why she calling? If we on a date, it's Saturday night. It's not Monday. It's not uniform time. It's the summer. So it's like, what?
Jules, jump in there, Jules.
I'll say this. I am probably in the most non-traditional set of circumstances in my relationship. So in full transparency, I met my now fiance back in college. We both went to Norfolk State University. Crystal, I think you and I are probably the same age because we put, you put the Facebook thing out there. And so when we met, we grew up together in college, and he had 2 children while he was in college with 2 different women who also went to school with us. The relationship that he and I had was a friendship, and it continuously grew to more. We had a natural chemistry, and we have been in relationship ever since. And I would say that we are the exception to the rule. And it didn't always start out like that. And so I think you're in a situation, Crystal, or maybe have been, when you date a man, or look, not anymore.
Oh, no. I got out. I was like, oh, this is not for me. No.
When you date a man with kids, it oftentimes can seem a little bit complicated in the beginning, because what I had to learn as a girlfriend was that I needed to respect the mother, and I needed to respect that she still had authority over her children, and ain't nothing gonna come over mama bear. And so I had to fall back a little bit to understand what that dynamic was. And she had to understand that I was coming from a good place. And so now we have the best of situations, and we don't got one baby mama, we got 2. And it's more common now than I think not. My mom and I talk about this all the time. I got 2 bedrooms upstairs for April and Rigo, and I'm very proud to be a bonus mom. And I don't have any kids of my own. We don't have any kids together as of yet, but it was very important for me to establish a relationship with their mothers, be able to set boundaries with them, and let them in full transparency know where I was coming from, because they had expectations out of me. And so I don't get to just be friends with my 14-year-old bonus daughter. I got to be a mom when she shows up into the room. I don't get to be, Miss, they call me Lucy at home. I don't get to just be Lucy all the time. I have to step up and be a parent, and I have to have tough conversations with the kids. And we've now gotten to a point where it's like, you know, I was having a conversation with April the other day, and I told her, listen, sis, you got two sets of parents. You got me and your dad, and you got your mom and your stepfather. I'll be damned if you do X, Y, and Z, right? And so I think you can make it, depending on the set of circumstances with the parents and how mature everybody is at the table.
That's it.
It can
That's
be
what I
a
was
beautiful
gonna say.
thing. We've done sleepovers with all the family. We do family trips and vacations.
You're
We
good,
do
Jules.
holidays. It like, and everyone's saying no, but that's why I said
Jules,
it's the
I
most
absolutely
Yeah, yours is not typical,
that.
Jules,
It's
but
a
it's
non-
beautiful.
it's a
I do too. I
non-traditional
love it, but that's
situation.
not my life.
Well,
It
here's the
definitely
thing.
depends on the maturity.
We went
Here's
to the
the
strip
thing.
club.
Here's
We
the
all
thing.
hung
You
out and had a good
hit the
time.
nail on the head that it has to do with maturity.
Mhm.
And everybody comes to the plate is not mature. And that's when you become baby mama.
Yeah.
No, I'm pretty mature, but we're not having the whole barbecue together. I'm extremely mature.
Barbecues and sleepover. Well, here's the thing. Let me say this. I really believe that it's a cultural thing, because when I tell you, and it's no shade, white folks, when I tell you I'm talking about everybody is out camping.
No, Jada Pinkett Smith. Jada Pinkett Smith and Will Smith, they've been very transparent. They black.
On the Red Table Talk, she talked about, her and Cherie talked about
it
how
wasn't always
they
like
butted
that.
heads
Right,
in the beginning,
right.
and they had to have a come to Jesus moment with each other. They had to grow. They had to build what they have now. So, like Jules, they do have family vacations.
They also
and
had to
when his
desire
ex-wife
that. I had no
was
desire
married,
for that.
Yeah, they did stuff
Say that
together.
again, Michelle.
They also have to want that, and this Virgo does
Yeah.
not want that.
I mean,
Yeah, and it's not that I don't
That's it,
want it, but I
Michelle.
think
That
time
is it.
because Diddy and all his baby mamas, they all travel together. Diddy, I mean, the baby mamas, they in Paris, they on the island. It's just
But
one big
I
happy family.
definitely will say this. When I met Billy, his daughter was 4 years old.
Help you, Lord.
My God, that part of my life when we first started out was hell.
Because of a baby mama, not a grown
Because of
woman.
a baby mama. Do you hear me? When I tell you, she went out of her way to make me unwelcomed.
Oh, I've been on the receiving end too. Yes.
It
for
was
sure.
not, it was hell. I knew more about her daughter than she did, but she called me bossy.
Michelle said it the right way. Michelle said, if it is what you guys want, it shall be.
Absolutely. And
that's
as I
it.
said, it has to
That's
do
it.
with maturity.
It
You
does.
have to understand that, first of all, what y'all have is over. He's moved on.
Yes.
Period. And if
Let
you
it go.
can't get with that, then you can't get with nothing.
Listen, it's
Wait a minute,
over. Say it
But
again.
hold up. Can we answer the 4 questions? Should they have boundaries?
Yes.
Yes.
What
Yes.
should they be talking about? The kids.
kids.
Primarily the kids.
And not the relationship.
But here's the thing. You know when you're messy. Here's the thing. You know when you're messy. You know when you're inappropriate. You
and
know
that
when
goes
you're
back to our other
inappropriate.
conversation, the Me Too conversation too.
Yes, you
It
know
all
when you're
ties
inappropriate. You know when you're having a conversation with your baby mother talking about her panties and stuff like that.
Oh, you know.
Stuff that you know about, but you shouldn't still be recalling because you all have moved on. That's always going to be mine. Those comments, that's inappropriate. That's inappropriate.
When should they call?
And when should they call?
When should they call?
Monday through Friday during
hours.
business hours.
Unless it's an emergency.
Unless
Unless you're
it's
taking
an
that child to the hospital, they fell and broke something, calling at 10 o'clock at night and your kids are not with you and it's nothing to talk about. You just, how was your day? What do you mean? How was
Also,
your day?
don't call text. We
Communication
talked
is
about that in
key.
a previous podcast.
Text is the best thing that ever happened. Hey, there's a schedule change. Just wanted to let you know about it. Have a good night.
Or even if it's 10 o'clock at night and you're calling because the baby has a cold. You know how to fix a cold. You don't need to call that father for no code. You can
What
act
daddy
like you
gonna
call
do?
it.
Go to get some Tylenol?
What are you
at
gonna
10 o'clock?
do?
Yeah.
Well, because
Women
after
who've never
business
had a
hours,
mature conversation.
after
Women
business
who-
hours, you now think that you're in a relationship still.
But
Or that
People
you
know
can
when
have
what's
the power to
appropriate
do
and
it.
what's not appropriate.
to the person who wrote in, I would just say, if you feel like you have a petty baby mama or your boyfriend's baby mom is being petty, it is up to your man to make you feel comfortable.
That's it.
As long
And
as he's
that's it.
making you
Yep.
feel comfortable, and as long as he's doing his part, you have nothing to worry about. If
And
you're
if he
worried about
cannot, and if he
and
cannot,
if he can't,
that's a
get out of there
problem.
now.
Out of
Like
there.
Crystal did.
He needs
has
to
to set the
establish the
boundaries.
boundaries too, because I
I'm
think
gonna say that's a huge
oftentimes-
part of it. The man has to be
Yes,
involved.
because
And if he
oftentimes the men
doesn't-
kind of shy away from it, and they like
Right. If
kinda
he just
sweep it.
letting y'all go at it, then you need to check him because obviously there's something else going on. But he absolutely should be a part of the conversation. So when Cherie and Jada did the red table talk, that's one of the things that Jada said, that Will checked her on something she did and let her know, like, listen, you're my wife and I love you to death, but that shit is not cool and you're not going to do that to my ex-wife again. So he set the tone and it allowed them to build upon that. Now, not everybody is that mature. I realize that. I don't know how to help you. I'm not a baby mama. I've never dated men because I'm not that mature or tolerant to deal with that. But he has to be an instrumental part in the process in
number
order
one
for
part.
it to be
Totally agree.
healthy and for the boundaries to be set. There no secrets. Everybody needs to be on the same page. He needs to say it in front of you and her at the same time, like in Why Did I Get Married?
Yes.
When Marcus had to get the two of them together,
Yes,
he was
yes.
like, no,
Good-
you
good
need to
one.
stop
Have
and
the
you
hard
need to
conversation.
stop.
I'm gonna also advocate for the baby mamas too. You may have a messy baby father or a messy boyfriend, a messy
Come on.
husband, a messy fiance
Yes.
that is leading the mother of his child back to feeling like the door is open. And so
And that's when I do a
Bingo.
cutoff.
Out of
That's
both
when I
sides.
do a
That
cutoff,
is
Jules.
very,
That's when
very,
I,
very
that's
much
when I do
true.
this. Bye. Because I'm not gonna put myself in an uncomfortable situation to go back and forth with
That's
somebody's
good.
boo-boo and Ray Ray's mother when you're the common denominator.
When
and
you
now
boo
I'm
boo and Ray
denominator.
Ray.
Hello.
Boo-boo Ray mother. I don't have the issue with the mother. I go to the man because
Let's
that's who I have a
go.
relationship
Mimi.
with.
Mimi.
Are a
Read,
lot of comments
read
going
the
on.
comments,
Yes,
Mimi. Go.
comments.
Come on,
Okay.
Mimi.
So Lauren said, yes, you have to be grown. Lauren was also cheering on Michelle when she got to talking. Even got the hand clap emojis in here. It's about 4 of them. And then Alani said, I don't have anything to talk with my daughter's father about every day. Not
No.
when she was younger and definitely not now that she is a young adult. April says that the unfortunate thing is a lot of these baby mamas are not mature. Lauren said, well, some women are not that mature. Wendy said, hands up for checking yourself. They definitely said Kim was hilarious when Kim was going off. Lauren also said, because the boundaries have not been set, that, that's why a lot of this drama will kick off. Some men be leaving the door open. Stay woke.
Stay woke.
Oh.
Stay woke.
And then Andrea said, that's her, me and my son's father. We do everything together. So she was speaking more.
Y'all need to get married, Andrea.
Leave Andrea alone.
She's
She's
talking
being
about a
mature
positive
adult.
co-parenting relationship. It
And
happens.
Shayla said that that's a very mature thing, and I'm here
Hey,
for all
Shayla.
of it. It's not about you, it's about the kids. Yes, it's about
Yes.
maturity, and I wish more Black women healing so we don't perpetuate the cycle of lingering, messy
That's
relationships.
good.
Yes.
Good, Shayla.
Come on, healing.
Then also, at the end of the day, everyone should want to strive for what's best for the children in all capital letters. The father needs to be checked, not the baby mama. Being messy all the damn time to one another is not it. And that
Not
if they
it.
feel comfortable enough to call after business hours and it's not an emergency, then it means that the necessary boundaries have not been set. So
Amen.
Yeah, and one
Those
and
are
one
good
thing with
comments.
all
those were
all-
really good
yes.
comments. Thank
Good
y'all
comments,
for
ladies and gentlemen. if they
engaging
were
in the
gentlemen.
conversation and not being afraid to share your thoughts and opinions,
Mhm.
as the women who shared also have varying situations going on.
Come on, Michelle.
No, I was just gonna say, and all of the cutting up that happens between the adults, whether you want to call them a baby mama, baby father, baby daddy, grandma, whatever, it needs to be without any children in earshot.
Yeah.
So
100%.
anything that's happening, don't let the kids know about all
Michelle,
of this
that's so
drama.
good. That's so good because I'll admit I've had some conversations that I had to go back and really apologize about because it was inappropriate to have in front of kids to talk about their. I've had some conversations. I'm not an angel. Like I'm
like,
human.
baby,
Let's be
I'm
real.
sorry I called your mother big black hoe.
Yeah,
I
listen,
didn't mean it.
I mean, and we gotta stop we gotta stop the shenanigans.
Wait, did you say big
About
black
somebody in
hoe?
front of
Big black hoe.
talk about people in front of children. And I will be honest, I've made that mistake a time or two because I felt like, who the hell are you talking
Your
to?
mama ugly.
But that's
ain't
real,
no grandma
Tori.
ugly.
That
No
is
joking.
real. And so many
And I
times
had to
people do
repent
have
and
conversations.
apologize.
Yeah,
Now,
especially,
I
I think
apologize
it's hard
to
when
the
your
child,
kid
not
like
to the mother. And I might be wrong for that.
Well, I had to have
But I do
another
apologize to
conversation.
the
This girl, she was like 11 years old, but she would go home and repeat stuff. And it wasn't anything messy, but she would go home and repeat stuff to her mom, like, Miss Crystal and X went to the movies today and we bought ice cream and and it was like, oh, Miss Crystal did this for you and Miss Crystal did it. And I'm like,
Oh, the kids are reporters. Y'all
Oh
need to
my God,
understand
everything that went on in my house.
Mandated reporter.
like, you need to be
just gotta
telling your
take that
mother
on the
to
chin.
educate you in school and stop getting D's and C's on your report card and stop worrying about what Miss Crystal doing.
Listen,
That's
But you know
what
they're gonna
black
repeat.
people-
You know they're gonna repeat. That's what their
Listen,
job is.
This is not. I don't think it's for me. The young kids
repeat and report back is what they do.
But guess what? What I noticed is sometimes in relationships, and I won't say this specifically as my own, I'm talking about other people, might not be, might be. They'll tell everything that goes on in your house, but they damn sure aren't coming back and telling you what's
Listen,
right.
You better know that.
You know what? You know what, Tori? And that's why I'm so open and honest about my situation. You know, I stand in my truth on everything. My shit, look, I don't pretend like my shit don't stink.
Oh, no.
I'm flawed. I'm perfectly imperfect. I'm exactly who I am. And I stand, you know, firm on who I am and all the situations that I take on, because I know that makes me. And I know that whatever decisions I make is oftentimes another woman is standing in my shoes. And so it doesn't bother me that my man has children with two different women. I love them. Like I said, I got 2 bedrooms sitting upstairs for them. So to me, it's not a flaw. It doesn't make me feel any type of way. It doesn't make, you know, when you're in these kind of co-parenting, these blended families, it shouldn't make anybody feel like they can't do that. And I don't think anyone on this panel has said anything like that. But I'm just saying, for the people who are listening, should you choose to be in a blended family, if you have a child with more than one man, if you have you know, maybe you have a child with more than one woman, I don't think it's necessarily something that should be factored in your packaging and your dateability. I think it just is what it is. And if you stand firm on who you are and what you believe in, you take care of your kids, you take care of your household, you take care of the women that you had children with and make sure that they straight and everybody is straight, then you really can't say nothing about it. And you should walk and stand firm in your truth.
Yeah,
Crystal,
that's
I really
true,
think
but
that
some
you
people
shouldn't
don't
give
want to
up.
date people that have children.
And they shouldn't. And
I think you should not give up on dating a man with children, because you may have had those experiences. But one thing I know about a man, if a man move off his baby mother, he is true. He really don't want her. It's
and
all in
I'm
her
not
mind.
opposed to it. I just had some traumatizing experiences, and you know, there have been some really good ones, and I promise y'all, I got some stories to tell you about men and kids and baby mamas, but I'm not throwing it out the window, because the reality is in 2021, dating right now, there's not too many men who don't have kids, whether or not they're young kids or older. So it's not a non-negotiable for me. I'm open to dating men with kids all the time. I love kids. I be like, come on, ice cream. I'm the fun one. But at the same token,
you might not want your own kids, so this might be a good way. You get to
I do want kids of my own. I do. I'm still believing God on that. But at the same token, I do. It's like the reality is there's going to be a lot of men in the world who have kids and they're single. And so I always tell my single girlfriends, like, you need to take that off the list. Like, I'm not saying that it can't be done, but 9 out of 10 men in Prince George's County or the DMV have kids, and they have more than one child. So it's not, you have to live with the reality of it. But, these baby mamas will try you, and, you try the spirit by the spirit. Amen. And so I just have to be nice and put on my good Christian hat and be like, okay, Lord, give me the patience to deal with this, because the kids be killing me. But
But that's
on purpose,
when it
yeah.
goes back to what I was saying at the very, very beginning. Crystal, if you are dating a man who has a child and his child's mother is a grown adult,
Run.
you're
No.
not gonna have these issues. You're
Right.
not.
Yeah.
I'm not pulling up.
too.
I'm not pulling up.
And
and
the
that's what
mother
I'm not
of
gonna
the
do. I'm not
child
gonna
should
fight. I'm not
supersede
gonna
everything.
argue. I don't even have to talk to you. I don't even want your
No.
phone number. But one thing
I'm
you're not gonna do is
texting.
disrespect me
It's-
or your
you're not
little
having any
nasty kids.
problems.
And the
If there is
person
a
doesn't have to
comment
like
for
you,
you-
but they should respect you. And
Right.
the love for the child should supersede everything.
Yes.
All
I
right,
didn't know
lady.
that the mother saw it.
White
They're like,
neck.
Miss Crystal, we so happy to see you. The mother was
Mimi,
like,
do we have comments?
We
Do
got
we have
a
a
comment for Kim. The person's name is Red Bombshell. Said Miss Kim, he might not want the baby mama, but they still be wanting the box.
Well, I wasn't
Well,
gonna
I
say
think
that,
that's
but
a
I
good
don't say
note to
everything
end
else
on.
on here. But I can tell you sometimes the man don't want the baby mama and they don't want the boxes. They know what come along. Because they
But
really
They know
don't.
that they know that the box is available, Kim. That's the
They
thing. They know
know
they
it's
can always
available.
go back.
And they know they can slide up in there every now and again when they
Okay.
want to.
But what if
But
he's a
sometimes-
fine baby father, Crystal? If he a real fine baby
Listen, he a
father?
fine baby father. I may have to take one for the team, okay?
Her, big her.
Big
I'm
her.
gonna take
That's
one
right,
for the
sis.
team, sis.
You don't gotta wipe him up, you
Hang
know.
with y'all playing into these stereotypes. I cannot.
A little
Hang
baby
in there,
father.
Alana
sis.
said,
Oh, come on. If
that,
the baby
um,
father's looking like
I'm like, woo.
Come
I
on,
see why
Mimi.
you a baby daddy.
a lot
Get
of baby
focused,
daddies
Mimi.
out here.
all right, Alani said, my husband was married before, and I'll say that I'm glad he didn't have any children.
Yes,
All
thank
right.
God.
All
Oh,
right.
Toy, there was also someone who agreed with you about, she said, I've done that in having conversations in the presence of the children. She said, I've done that, but I've grown up.
Yeah.
Speaking of grown up, thank you to that sister who sent in her questions. Thank you for being so brave, girl. I hope you got your answers that bra man need to be calling when it's light outside, okay? And we're not meeting up and all of that. You heard what the girls said. So yes, there are boundaries. And sis, listen, if it's taking a toll on you, you got to start reconsidering some things for you and your wellness. Okay, sis? So I hope you were able to get some resolve on that from the sister squad. And if you have any questions for our next taping, send it in www.sisterconversations.com and just let me know that you have a question for the sister squad. And we are delighted to share them, to talk about them. And we also thank you all for joining us today, for sharing your questions, sharing your comments. You all are fabulous. And so when the podcast comes out, because it'll be coming out in a couple of weeks, share that as well on all of the podcast platforms. Yes. And so again, we thank you for joining us. We are here with Michelle Kober. We love Michelle. Thank you, girl, for joining us. Crystal Macklin, thank you for joining us. Crystal is the newbie, honey, and she fell right on in. We love sis. We love sis. Yes. How you feel, sis, with everybody tonight?
This is such a great group of sister circles, sister squad. Everybody has their own opinion. We value it, whether or not it's the left or the right. And so I love that. I love that we all have different backgrounds and everybody's just so free to give their opinion. There's no wrong answer here.
Yeah. And we have our other, and we couldn't leave Jules by herself to be the only millennial baby. So we brought in sister girl Crystal to join Jules. Jules, how do you feel not being the only millennial up in the his ass?
Thank you, Crystal sis, for joining the pod. I listen, we feel a lot of the same things. We're coming from a lot of the same places and spaces. So, but it's always great to just be back in the fold with all of you ladies. It's been a pleasure as always. So thank you for having me.
Yeah. And I didn't give you anything to a chance to say anything, Sister Colbert. Did you have any last moments?
May not be a millennial, but I'm very young. Okay.
Oh, okay.
I'm mature, but I'm young.
I'm
And
with
she
you.
wanted to get you all together and let you know she's not a baby mother. She taught us tonight that there's a difference between a baby mother and a what grown as
Woman.
Child's mom.
child's
Because she
mom.
doesn't have behaviors. Okay. She
That's
does
right.
not have behaviors.
That's right. And we're always grateful to have our cut up sis. And she keeps us in stitches because that's just what she does. And let me tell y'all, when I called this sister, my sister, and I said, listen, I want you to join. I'm doing something different. I'm doing something. I want to get some sisters together. And you were one of the first sisters that I thought about. She said, you know, I'm in there. She said, you know, I'm in there. She said, and I get to be me. I said, Kim, listen, you know, I'm not going to call you to be a part of nothing, and I don't want you to be yourself. So we are just grateful that you still being you, sis.
Yes.
And I'm glad that you all let me sort of like, Kim, you can't say that. And I'll be like, yes, I can.
Let me tell you,
And
let me
I
tell
love
you,
that you always say it. It brings me so much joy.
Yeah.
Kim, let me tell you what my mother called you. My mother said, the cussing one.
Hey, since ninth grade.
Oh,
I love it. I love it. I
Uh-huh.
love
the
it. I
N-word
love
on the
it.
show.
Yes, she
love it.
did. She made it like
Spiced it
like
up.
yeah, for real.
Appreciate
And
you,
we
sis.
and we love having my sister girl from back in the day, Sister Hawkins Plummer. Thank you for joining us tonight. She was a world traveler for a couple of weeks, and we had to isolate her and put her in quarantine. But she
Y'all
is
sure did. Y'all said quick in a hurry. You do know, right, that we will be meeting live and you've been traveling. So you know, everybody agrees that you need to stay. I was like, oh, I just come back from Africa. I really wanted to see you. But I took it to on the chin, and here I am. And I'm grateful to be among you ladies. I think you all bring just so much to these conversations. And again, we all are being who we are. And I think that's what makes this just a beautiful thing.
Thank you for joining us. And last but certainly not least, one of my newest found sisters, who is a podcaster and a blogger and a Miss Everything. If I could get into her clothes, she would really have something on her hands. But because she weighs $105 and I couldn't even get my left tit in any of her clothes, she is safe to rock and be fly all by herself. And I respect this sister to the nine. And I'm so thankful. I didn't know her beyond the chucks that she designed for me. And let me tell you, when I called on this sister, she was like, absolutely. And when I tell you, she is probably one of the best finds the Holy Spirit could have ever sent our way. And that's that Mimi Robinson.
Thank you. I love chatting with you all. And okay, wait, real quick. So there were just a few comments that I thought were really, really dope from the audience.
Come on.
Brooke said she learned a lot. She loves these conversations. Alana
Join
said
us
these
again.
conversations are necessary. You ladies are doing an awesome job. Love you, Iyona. That was from Shantae.
Thank you, Shantae. I
Shayla
love
said,
this.
great show, ladies. First time listener. All right, Shayla, come back, girl. We're going to be here again.
Come on back,
April
sis.
said, wonderful conversations tonight, ladies. Harry Jefferson said, I feel that each of you bring your own unique swag to the show. Red Bombshell
Wait. And Hughes.
Oh, and Hughes.
Don't start.
We got to talk about
all
that,
covered.
Ayana. That's a
got 'em all.
conversation for the
Please
next
don't start.
one. That's
Yes.
for the next episode.
But
yeah, they said we did
I
an awesome
want to
job
have
and
that
they enjoyed it.
conversation. I want to have that conversation in person.
Ooh,
Okay.
we should have that conversation in person.
I want to have that conversation in person.
That would be
Was-
good. So
was
thank you
that-
for having me. I love y'all. This is fun. Always have fun.
Yeah, I thank y'all. I mean, it is a joy to be able to talk amongst sisters that we don't think the same, we don't act the same, we don't look the same,
and still love one another and still talk about your experiences, your perspectives, your opinions, still have respect. And that's what it's about. That's sisterhood. And man, it gets so rich and thick when the sister squad gets together. And I just can't thank you all enough. So again, ladies, thank you for joining us. I hope and pray that you got something out of this episode. I am praying that the next time, which is next week, that you would bring a sister with you and that you would check out all of my episodes, Sister Conversations with Iyona Blake, on all of your podcast platforms. And check out all of these sisters on social media and on their blogs, on their podcasts, because they're all fierce and doing their thing as well. So I would be remiss to say, don't check them out too, because that's not what we do. We support one another, right? Yes. So as we are loving on them, you're loving on me, we're loving on one another. I'll see you next time. Blessings. Woo wee.
This was good.
That was good, honey.
We'll be live on YouTube.
We're still live.
It says we're still live.
Yes, we are.
Well, we're giving ourselves time to shine.
Don't snatch your wig off yet, sis.
Don't snatch it off just yet. All right.